Good morning. Thank you for following and liking and subscribing. This is Pam with Follow Your Brush. As you know, I am not a master artist. I am not a professional, although I have sold some paintings. I guess that counts. But I am on a watercolor adventure, and as I explore, I invite you to come along with me and see what I'm learning. This week, I learned one of my most valuable tools that sometimes I think I overlook personally, and that is my handy dandy water. Now, we know that we use our water to clean our brushes and get the color out, but did you know that it's also actually one of our most important tools, especially if we're painting with watercolor? This morning I'm using my Michael Harding collection. This is just my own personal collection that I have put together. And I put them in large pans with magnets and put them in an old core tin that had two paints in it so I could take them out. And I have a chart, and let me tell you, it's a good thing I have a chart of where they are, even though I pretty much know them by heart by now. But this morning, with my bum hands, I accidentally knocked this over and they all went falling all over the floor. And my cat even took one into the kitchen. So I'm going to go back to my double-sided tape. But water, that's what I want to talk to you really briefly about. We talk about consistency in our water and how important it is when we're painting, our water ratios, we call them. And it's taken me a while to learn this, but let me try to explain something that just kind of hit me this week. When we do our colors, I don't have my mixing tray, but I'm still going to go ahead and proceed. We can do this further. Wet on wet, which is one of my favorites. Let me come in here to this. And we watch it run. And, you know, if you watch me, you know I love this kind of thing. It's a wet on wet technique. And we can just kind of watch it. As long as that water is moving, your paint is alive. Look at that. So it's going to move around and follow the water, the pigment will. Now I'm cleaning my brush, but let me show you something else. Let me take some of this. This is just straight on, straight out of the pan. These are very pigmented. Now I'm not going to dip my brush, but I'm going to lightly dampen it, or I always say that. Put a drop there. And now it's lighter. And if I do that again, take out more water, it's going to be lighter still. So depending on what I'm doing, I can adjust my colors by the amount of water in my brush and on my paper. I can go back to this actually and come underneath to see what it does. It's kind of a staining color. You see that? Kind of blend it a little bit. And that's another use of my water. So depending on what I'm trying to do in my painting, depends on how much water I'm using as well. And that can be adjusted. We talk about, I don't really have my mixing palette here, but I'm going to try to show you just in this little corner right here. We talk about this would be a tea consistency. See how you can see through that? Like if you're fixing a cup of tea. More water, less pigment. It's very watery. You see that? This is our tea consistency. So it's very light. This would be good for like clouds. Look at that. If I'm doing cloud, just keep it light. And also you want to keep your water is going to go in the, or your pigment's going to go in the flow of your water. Then let's get this a little thicker, the same puddle. I'm going to use the same color. And we're going to come in and add more pigment. Now we're getting, you see that? Now we're getting more of a, my cat wants to eat we're getting more of a creamy consistency. You see that? So we talk about tea, milk, and butter. So that's more of a creamy consistency. Let me move this up a little bit. See how that's going to go on. So see, we have it's a little more intense. So that would be our creamy consistency. And then depending on what we're doing, if we want more pigment, see that there's the water, there's the tea consistency, the cream. Now let's go to butter. This is going to come straight out of my palette. Just a really thick, juicy consistency. See that? And then let's look at the difference with that one. Same color, but much, much darker and less water. So understanding this, and of course I'm using my non-dominant hand today because my hand's giving me trouble. So we have the tea, milk, and butter. This actually could even be a little thicker. So it's going to give us different desired results when we paint. Let's go back to this tea consistency. And then let's add some butter to my tea or milk to my tea. Wherever you live, you might want milk to your tea. So you can change your consistency on the paper. And when you mix on your paper, it's going to be a little different than when you mix it in the pan. And I'm just doing this quickly just to show you some differences in the so this, you see we have the tea on the middle and the milk on the outside. Now I'm going to come in here. I'm going to get some of that water off my brush so I can get a really thick consistency on my brush of pigment. And let's do this darker consistency on the outside. Probably could be even darker still. So just by changing the water ratio, with your pigment, you can change your effect of your painting. Now, how would this come in handy? If I wanted to do a scene of mountains, perhaps. Come in here and let's make a light consistency first. What's lighter in the background is going to be further away. So let's pretend we have a mountain range here. And that's my furthest mountain range. My next one is going to be a little bit darker. So I'm going to add more pigment, less water, and come in here with my next mountain range. And you see how we're getting that feeling of distance because the other one is lighter. And now let's come in with my darkest, because what's dark the darkest will be the closest. So this has taken me time to learn. It sounds like, why in the world would that take you time to learn that? But it does. It's a process that you learn. Now you see how I've got the distance already? We've got the dark, the medium, and the light. There are a couple ways you can do that. You can do your whole light background first if you wish. You can just do like the whole background light. And then let it dry and come back with a little darker. It's going to dry lighter. So you got your light, and then come back in with your darkest. That way, that's another way to do it. We always go light to dark in watercolor. But this is a good example right here. I actually achieved this one. But you know, it looks easy, but it's taken me a long time to figure that out. So that's what I wanted to come on this morning and just try to share with you, because I'm just really beginning to appreciate the fact that my water is one of my best tools. I've got it out of sight right now, but here it is. My water, and I just dropped my brush. Water is one of your best tools in watercolor. So use it to your advantage and learn how to use these various water ratios. You'll be happy you did. Thanks for following me, and have a wonderful weekend. Bye. This is Pam with Follow Your Brush. Like and subscribe if you wish, and thank you so much. Bye.